Hi everyone, welcome to part 2 of my lesson on lists. Here are the things we're going to address in this part. We're going to look at the Python for statement and we're going to use it to loop through our lists, which will make them print cleaner, and it's a more effective way of processing lists. We're going to look at some coding styles, indentation and blank spaces. That's very important in Python. I'll show you a neat tool in PyCharm that'll help you do this automatically. We'll look at slicing lists with the range function. And finally, we'll look at tuples, which are snapshots of lists that are unchangeable or mutable. This should all round out the lesson on lists and give you a basic knowledge to help you code with lists. So let's get going. The first thing we're going to talk about is the for statement. The for statement scrolls through a list, loops through a list, and performs actions on each item in the list or each element. So for example, up till now we have been printing the list and getting this unattractive format when we print out our list. If we change this to the for statement, we would type game, and game is a variable. So now we were going to loop through the list with a variable called game, and then we're going to print each element in the list, and you'll see that that looks much better. Let's get rid of this so we can see it clear. And as you can see, we have the 5 items here neatly listed. If we were to do with an int, we could do, I have a list of integers here, and we could scroll through that and perform a calculation. So now we're going to go through this list, we're going to scroll through, and we're going to multiply each element by 10. And as you can see, that's what we have here. So there are many things you can do with the for statement and lists. The next thing I want to talk about is the styling of Python. Python is very particular about indentation, for example. It uses indentations to note a block of code. So if you look at the for loop that we created, this is all one block. And Python knows this because there's an indent here of 4 spaces. If we did not have this indent, it would not work, but also it would be treated as 2 statements. So if we run that, we'll see we'll get an indentation error. So the styling that's used is 4 spaces. There's a lot to read on this if you want, but for now, you just need to know that indentation is key. So if you get an indentation error, it means that it's not 4 spaces, or it's not the right amount of spaces. Also, the standard, it's called PEP 8, and it also concerns with blank spaces. Python doesn't like too many blank spaces, and that's more of a styling. That's not going to give you an error. It's not going to give you an execution error, but it is to allow people to read your code, and that's very important, to comment and format your code in such a way that it's easily read. It also looks at the length of lines and much more. So just keep in mind that indentation and blank spaces, and keep focus on writing clean, well-commented code. So the good news is that PyCharm, which we're using here, has a utility. So let me just explain here. Let me put a bunch of useless spaces here. So PyCharm has a tool that reformats your code to the standard. So if I run this here, it will clean up and bring these other comments here. It will clean up my code and make it conform to that PEP 8 standard. So that's a very handy tool. You can't rely on it 100%, but it certainly helps. So after you write a bunch of code, you could run this reformat code and make sure that it's styled correctly. One other thing we didn't look at in the last session was slicing lists. So if we want to look at a list with the for statement, it starts at the beginning and goes through the end. There's no midway. So if you want to get certain elements out of a list, you don't want the entire list, you would use the range function. So how that works is you would type, so we would put a for loop with a range statement similar to this. And what this does is it creates a variable I, and it goes through to a range of 2 to 6. and it prints out from 2 to 6 on my int. I here is the index, and that's the same I there. So if we run that, we get these 4 numbers from the list. Now the thing to be aware of is that, again, all lists start with 0. So this will actually be the third marker on the list. It'll be 4. And when we put it to 6, it doesn't actually go to 6, it goes to 1 below it. So that would be 2. So it goes to the 5th element. So what we've done here is we've taken a slice of this list from the 3rd element to the 5th element. The range function only uses the number below the 2nd integer. It's key to be aware of it. That's the range function, and that allows you to slice lists at certain items. The final thing I'd like to talk about is tuples. Tuples are very similar to lists. There's only one key difference. A tuple is immutable. So a list, for example, you can go in and change the characters, as we did in the last lesson, where you could go in and say, my int index 3 equal to 9 instead of whatever it is. You can do that with a list. You cannot do that with a tuple. A tuple is defined simply by a parentheses instead of the brackets. So now my int is a tuple. So it should not affect anything we do. There is only one thing to note, and that is that my int 3 is equal to 5. So let's try to make that a 7. And that should fail because it is now a tuple and unmodifiable. And here you go. So that's the key difference with a tuple and a list. The list is obviously more beneficial if you want to go through your program and change values as you go along. But if you want to keep it consistent, then the tuple is the best way. So that's it for my lesson on lists. We've covered all the key topics in part 1 and part 2 of this lesson. So you should have a fundamental understanding of how to program and process lists in Python. If you want to code or comments from this lesson or any of the previous lessons, you can go over to my website at pythonforadultsandkids.com. In the next lesson, we're going to look at the if statement. It's a key statement in Python or any language. It'll give you more control over your program and allow you to do more things. So until then, take care.